Imagine typing a place into Google Maps and getting nothing back. No roads, no photos, no street view, just trees. Now imagine standing there in real life. The wind moves through the forest. You hear leaves crunch beneath your feet. But something feels off, because this place used to be alive. There were houses here, families, children playing in the streets, church bells ringing every Sunday. And then it all disappeared. Not abandoned slowly, not forgotten over time. Erased, wiped off the map like it never existed. Germany is known for its bustling cities, Berlin, Munich, Hamburg, but hidden deep within its forests, along old borders, and beneath quiet landscapes, are places you were never meant to find. Entire towns that vanished, villages evacuated overnight, communities swallowed by war, industry, and time itself. No signs, no warnings, just silence. And today, you're about to uncover 12 ghost towns in Germany that aren't supposed to exist anymore. Imagine walking through a town where every window is broken, every door hangs open, and every building feels like it's still watching you. No people, no sound, just rows of empty apartment blocks slowly being reclaimed by the forest. Welcome to Wünsdorf, a place so secret it was once completely sealed off from the outside world. A town that shouldn't exist. Just south of Berlin, hidden among dense forests in Brandenburg, lies Wünsdorf, once one of the most important military locations in Europe. But you won't find it on most tourist maps, because for decades, it wasn't supposed to be seen. The Nazi nerve center. During World War II, Wünsdorf became the beating heart of Nazi military operations. Beneath the ground, massive reinforced bunkers were constructed, including the infamous Maybach I and Maybach II complexes. These weren't ordinary bunkers. They were designed to look like peaceful country houses from above, complete with fake roofs and windows. But below the surface, a hidden labyrinth of war rooms, communication centers, and command headquarters where high-ranking officers coordinated Germany's war strategy. This was where decisions were made that would shape the fate of millions. The Soviet takeover, a city within a city. When the war ended, Wünsdorf didn't die. It transformed. The Soviet army took control and turned it into something even more mysterious. For nearly 50 years, Wünsdorf became known as the Forbidden City. At its peak, over 60,000 Soviet soldiers, officers, and families lived here. Think about that. An entire city hidden inside another country. Soviet schools, Soviet supermarkets, Soviet cinemas, even Soviet street signs. Germans were not allowed inside. The town was completely cut off, surrounded by fences, guards, and secrecy. It wasn't just a military base. It was a parallel world. Locked away from reality. Locals nearby knew something was there, but they didn't know what. No one could enter. No one could leave freely. Even maps barely acknowledged its existence. For decades, Wünsdorf existed in silence, a fully functioning city hidden behind walls. The sudden abandonment. Then, in the early 1990s, everything changed. After the fall of the Soviet Union, the troops left, and they left fast. Buildings were abandoned, furniture left behind, personal belongings still inside homes. It was as if an entire population vanished overnight. What remained? A frozen moment in time. What's left today? Today, Wünsdorf stands as one of Germany's most chilling ghost towns. Endless rows of crumbling apartment blocks, rusting playgrounds overtake. 2. Rungholt, Germany's Atlantis. Imagine a city swallowed by the sea. No ruins above ground, no streets left to walk, just waves stretching endlessly to the horizon. But on certain nights, when the tide is low and the wind is still, some say you can hear church bells ringing beneath the water. A city lost to the ocean. Long before modern Germany existed, Rungholt stood on the coast of North Frisia, a wealthy trading town along the edge of the North Sea. It wasn't small, it was thriving. Merchants, farmers, and sailors filled its streets. Ships arrived with goods. Life was prosperous. Some even called it the Venice of the North. But Rungholt had one dangerous neighbor, the sea. A city lost to the ocean. In the year 1362, a catastrophic storm known as the Grootmandrenke struck the coast. This wasn't just a storm, it was a megastorm surge, one of the deadliest natural disasters in European history. Massive waves tore through the land. Dikes collapsed under pressure. Entire regions were flooded within hours. In Rungholt, it didn't survive the night. The city was completely destroyed and submerged beneath the North Sea. Thousands of people were lost. Entire communities vanished, not slowly, but instantly, erased without a trace. Unlike other ghost towns, Rungholt left almost nothing behind. No standing buildings, no visible streets, just mudflats beneath the water. Over time, the sea covered everything, layer by layer. Today, Rungholt lies buried beneath the tidal flats of the Wadden Sea, a place where land and ocean constantly shift, hiding what remains. The legend of the sunken bells. But Rungholt didn't fade quietly into history. It became a legend. Locals began telling stories that on stormy nights, when the tide pulls back, you can hear the bells of Rungholt ringing from beneath the sea. Some say it's just the wind. Others believe the city is still there, frozen in time, waiting beneath the waves. Did it really exist? For centuries, people weren't even sure if Rungholt was real. It sounded like a myth, a warning story. But modern discoveries changed that. Archaeologists have found remains of old dikes, fragments of pottery, foundations buried deep in the mud. Proof that Rungholt wasn't just a myth, it was real, and it was lost. A ghost town you can't visit. That's what makes Rungholt different. You can't walk through it. You can't explore its streets. It's completely hidden beneath water and sediment, accessible only during rare low tides, and even then, only fragments appear. The rest? Still buried, still silent. Rungholt wasn't abandoned. It was taken by the sea, by the storm, by a single night that erased an entire city from existence. And somewhere beneath those shifting tides, Germany's Atlantis still sleeps. 3. Immerath, the vanished village. Imagine being told that your entire village has to disappear. Not because of war, not because of a disaster, but because the ground beneath your home is worth more than your home itself. A village with deep roots. Immerath was a quiet, centuries-old village in western Germany. Families had lived here for generations. Homes were passed down. Lives were built slowly, over time. At the center stood its most iconic landmark, the massive St. Lambertus Church, often called the Immerath Cathedral. It towered over the village, a symbol of history, of identity, of everything the community stood for. The decision that changed everything. Beneath Immerath lay something powerful. Lignite, a type of brown coal used for energy. And one of Germany's largest mining projects, the Garzweiler mine, was expanding. To reach the coal, the village had to go. This wasn't optional. The decision was made. And slowly, life in Immerath began to end. A forced goodbye. Residents were relocated to a newly built area nearby, often called New Immerath. But moving houses is one thing. Leaving behind your entire history, that's something else. Homes were emptied. Streets fell silent. Windows went dark. One by one, families left. Not because they wanted to, but because they had no choice. The final days. By the time the demolitions began, Immerath had become a ghost town. Empty houses lined the streets. Doors creaked in the wind. Nature started creeping in. Urban explorers and photographers arrived, capturing haunting images of a place waiting to die. And then came the moment that shocked the world. The fall of the church. In 2018, the St. Lambertus Church was demolished. Massive excavators tore through the structure. Stone by stone, it collapsed. A building that had stood for generations, gone in minutes. For many, this wasn't just demolition. It felt like erasing memory itself. A symbol of a bigger conflict. Immerath became more than a lost village. It became a symbol of the tension between energy needs, environmental concerns, and human lives rooted in place. Germany, known for its push towards renewable energy, still relied on coal, and villages like Immerath paid the price. What exists there now? Today, Immerath no longer exists. In its place, a massive, expanding pit. The landscape has been completely transformed into part of the Garzweiler mining area. Where children once played, there is now machinery. Where homes once stood, there is only earth being carved away. Immerath wasn't lost to time. 4. Wünsdorf, frozen in war. Imagine being forced to leave your home, not for days, not for months, but forever. No time to pack your life, no chance to say goodbye, just an order and silence. And when you return years later, there's nothing left but ruins. A quiet village before the war. Wünsdorf was once a peaceful farming village in the Eifel region of Western Germany. Small, close-knit, quiet. Families lived simple lives here for generations, surrounded by forests, fields, and the rhythm of rural life. At its heart stood a church and a community that felt permanent. But history had other plans. At the shadow of power. In the 1930s, as Adolf Hitler rose to power, the Nazi regime began reshaping parts of Germany for military purposes. Near Wünsdorf, they constructed the massive Ordensburg Vogelsang, a training center for elite Nazi leadership. The quiet countryside was no longer just farmland. It was becoming part of something much larger and much darker. The evacuation. Then, in 1946, after World War II had ended, a new order came, this time from British forces. Wünsdorf's residents were told to leave. The area was to be turned into a military training ground. No negotiations, no exceptions. Families had to abandon everything. Their homes, their farms, their memories. Many believed they would return one day. They never did. a village used as target practice. After the evacuation, Woolsiphon became part of a military training area, but not just any training. Soldiers used the empty village for urban warfare exercises. Buildings were damaged, structures collapsed, some were deliberately destroyed. Imagine your home, used as a target. Frozen in time. Unlike other ghost towns that slowly decay, Woolsiphon feels like it was paused. Today, what remains includes crumbling stone houses, broken walls standing without roofs, streets leading nowhere, and the haunting tower of the old church still rising above everything. It's not completely gone, but it's not alive either. Nature takes it back. Over the decades, the forest began reclaiming Woolsiphon. Trees grew between buildings, grass covered the roads. Silence replaced every human sound. What was once a village is now a memory carved into the landscape. A place you can walk through. Today, Woolsiphon lies within a protected area near Vogelsang. Visitors can walk through the ruins, but it doesn't feel like tourism. It feels like stepping into something unfinished, something interrupted. Woolsiphon wasn't destroyed overnight. It was emptied, repurposed, and then forgotten. A village frozen between war and memory. And even now, it stands as a reminder of what happens when history decides people must leave.
5. Pripyat, the German connection. Imagine a city evacuated in a single day. Breakfast left on tables, toys still on the floor, clothes hanging in closets, and a voice on the loudspeaker saying, "Take only what you need, you'll be back soon." They never came back. The city built for the future. Pripyat wasn't old, it wasn't ancient. It was modern, built in 1970 to house workers of the nearby Chernobyl nuclear power plant. Everything about it represented progress. Wide boulevards, modern apartment blocks, schools, hospitals, cinemas, even an amusement park set to open. Nearly 50,000 people lived here. A perfect Soviet city. Young, organized, alive. The night of the disaster. On April 26, 1986, everything changed. A reactor exploded. The event would become known as the Chernobyl disaster, the worst nuclear disaster in history. At first, the residents of Pripyat didn't know. Life went on for a few hours. Children played outside. People went to work. But invisible radiation was already spreading. The evacuation that never ended. Within 36 hours, the order came. Evacuate immediately. Buses arrived. People were told it was temporary. They took only essentials, left everything else behind. And in a single day, Pripyat became a ghost city. So where does Germany come in? Pripyat isn't in Germany, but its story is deeply connected to it. After the disaster, radioactive fallout spread across Europe. Parts of Germany were affected. Forests were contaminated. Milk and crops were restricted. Wild mushrooms and game meat remain monitored even today. The disaster changed German society. It sparked massive anti-nuclear movements. It influenced policy. And decades later, it played a role in Germany's decision to phase out nuclear energy. A disaster without borders. Chernobyl proved something terrifying. Radiation doesn't respect borders. An explosion in Ukraine could impact lives hundreds and even thousands of miles away. Germany felt it. Europe felt it. The world felt it. Pripyat today. Today, Pripyat stands frozen in 1986. The Ferris wheel never used, classrooms still filled with books, apartments left exactly as they were. Nature has taken over. Trees grow inside buildings, animals roam freely, and silence covers everything. A place time can't heal. Unlike other ghost towns, Pripyat isn't just abandoned, it's contaminated. Radiation still lingers. Some areas will remain unsafe for thousands of years. It's not just a place people left, it's a place people can't return to. Closing line, transition. Pripyat wasn't erased by war. It wasn't destroyed by choice. It was abandoned because staying meant death. And even far beyond its borders, its impact changed countries like Germany forever. 6. Doberitz. Nature took it back. Imagine a place where humans left, and nature quietly moved back in. No explosions, no sudden disaster, just silence growing deeper every year. Buildings crumble, roads disappear, and in their place, wild animals roam freely, as if people were never here at all. A village turned military zone. Doberitz lies just west of Berlin, but its story is far from ordinary. Originally, it was a small settlement surrounded by open land. But in the late 19th century, everything changed. The area was converted into a military training ground, first by the German Empire, later used through multiple regimes. Over time, civilians were pushed out. The land no longer belongs to villagers, it belonged to the military. A landscape of war. Through both world wars, Doberitz became heavily militarized. Troops trained here, equipment moved through here, strategies were prepared here. Later, during the Cold War, Soviet forces also used the area. For decades, it remained restricted, closed, controlled, off limits. The final departure. When military use finally ended in the 1990s, something unusual happened. People didn't come back. There was no rebuilding, no redevelopment, no attempt to reclaim the village. Instead, the land was left alone. Nature reclaims everything. Slowly, quietly, nature began to take over. What is now known as the Doberitzer Heide transformed into a unique wildlife sanctuary. And the changes are almost surreal. Grasslands replaced roads. Trees grew through abandoned structures. Buildings became part of the landscape. But the most striking transformation, the return of wildlife. A wild ecosystem returns. Today, Doberitz is home to rare and powerful animals. Wild horses, Przewalski's horses, European bison, deer, and countless bird species. These animals roam freely on land that was once filled with soldiers and machinery. It's no longer a place for humans, it's a place for nature. Ghosts of the past. Even as nature thrives, traces of the past remain. Crumbling barracks hidden in tall grass, empty roads leading nowhere, structures slowly collapsing into the earth. It's not a complete disappearance, it's a transformation. A rare kind of ghost town where life didn't end, it just changed form. A different kind of abandonment. Doberitz wasn't destroyed. It wasn't erased like Immerath. It wasn't swallowed like Rungholt. It was simply left behind. And that allowed something extraordinary to happen. Closing line, transition. Doberitz proves that when humans disappear, the world doesn't stay empty. It heals, it grows, it takes everything back. And in the end, it's as if we were never there at all.